Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 162 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my faithful co-hosts.
Ooh, faithful. I appreciate that word.
No
My
problem.
name's Craig. My name's Craig, showing faithful today.
My name is also Craig. Taking a break from killing 10,000 demons to be here.
Yes.
Thousands of
I
demons
did.
at a
I
time.
didn't want to, but I am here. I'm fulfilling my obligation.
Isn't that the Rent song? 525,600
you got
demons.
Yeah, we could change it. We could make one.
Okay, I add that reference, woof, right over the head.
Oh my God, he doesn't know Rent.
Oh,
It's okay.
I don't know.
He
Rent.
doesn't know
I don't
Rent.
know
We'll get
Rent.
you caught up.
Okay,
We're not a
fair
theater
enough.
podcast, though, so that's fair.
We could be.
But what I'm
could
going to
be.
get you guys caught up on is the news this week. That's what
Oh,
Yes.
news this week, there isn't a lot, to be completely honest. We're looking at a little bit of a segment today as well with the news. So overall, just like news-wise, I have the Joy-Cons are being released in pastel colors.
Nope.
There's like a purple, a green, orange, like cream sort of color, and a pinkish one. The colors don't look too bad. Not that I need any excuse to buy more Joy-Cons. I don't need them. So I will avoid buying Joy-Cons for the moment here. But I thought the pastel colors, I think they're very similar to the pastel colors that are available on the Animal Crossing Switch. So I have a feeling that maybe enough. They did a survey and people were like, "Give us more pastel colors." So they gave us more pastel colors.
At what point do we stop looking at the Crayola box to figure out what other colors we can put Joy-Cons in? Stop trying to get me to spend money.
I'm still on my originals.
That's good. I traded. I think. Well, yeah, I sold my originals with my old Switch. So
I don't even know how old they are now. At what that point? When did the Switch come out?
Oh boy,
2017.
Yeah,
was it?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
I think
So 6 years old.
Yeah, I think they're.
Is
6
my
or 7
Switch
years
6
old.
years old?
Yeah.
Holy cow! All right, that's old.
Yeah, that's like 80 in gaming years.
It really is.
You know, Craig, though, I'm proud of you. There's two reasons why I have bought Joy-Cons since the Switch came out. They were either Zelda related, or drift related due to specifically Super Smash Brothers. So those are the only reasons. I'm proud that your Joy-Cons are still holding true, because
they drift sometimes. On occasion, they will, and then I have to smack it back, and then it'll be okay. But I'm too stubborn to buy more, because in my mind I don't play it enough to justify spending. What are they, 70, right?
Yeah, 70 for a pair.
Yeah. Like in my mind, even though I know I need new ones, and like I'll drop 200 on the Elite controller, I just can't bring myself to spend 70 on Joy-Cons.
Yeah. We then next have the MetaQuest 3 trailer coming out. We did speculate on this. It was pretty much one of the worst kept, I guess, secrets of them.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how this thing sells, because I think a lot of people are still happy with their Quest 2s. Like, maybe if you have an original Quest, maybe it's time for you to upgrade, or how they sell this to more people, because the Quest 2 was such a success. How do you follow that up? And there are definitely big improvements. They're working on thinner and lighter. I did not see really any improvements to the head strap, which is what I was worried about. That thing still looks like it'll break. So we'll see what the reviews are like when they come out. But overall, I just think people have been like, okay, it's time for a Quest 3, because I'll buy it, and then we'll see whether or not people actually buy it.
Starting at $500, right?
Yes.
That's like the base one. Mm-hmm. And then the MetaQuest 2 is dropping to what, 3 or 2? Something like that.
I think it depends on the gigabyte version.
Right. I will say this, though, because it's funny. I watched that trailer, and like I still use my Quest 2 quite a bit. Not every day, but almost every day. And I still do like Supernatural and stuff. And it's funny that like my wife doesn't use VR, and her reasoning for it was that it's too heavy on her head. So she's actually interested in the newer version, because she feels like she might be able.
Makes sense.
It might not be as heavy on her head. It does look quite a bit thinner.
Yeah.
And then like the other stuff, like the full color pass through instead of the black and white, okay, sure. And then I guess a better processor, right?
Yeah, and then I did
Yes.
check as well. It's kind of dropping in weird areas here. So the 128 gigabyte looks like it's going to drop to 270, and
Okay.
then the 256 drops to 300. Which
It's not bad.
that why would you not go for the 256 gigabyte one?
Oh
Like
my
that?
God! Right.
Right. So the only thing from that trailer that I'm curious about is when they're mentioning the games, and obviously they're mentioning that you'll be able to play all the old ones. Is this going to be an issue where all the games coming out are not going to be compatible with the Quest 2?
Yeah.
You know, because like they do mention, like, oh, it's better processor, faster, smoother gameplay, and you can still play all the old ones. I was like, oh boy, am I getting into the thing where like a year from now, you know,
Phase out.
I can't buy any games anymore
Mhm.
without upgrading my Quest 2, which would be kind of a bummer. So in my opinion, I was like, I don't even know. Can you trade in a Quest 2 anywhere?
I don't think you can. I think it's got a lot
Oh.
of the same rules as like headphones and things like
Right.
that. Like it has to do with hygiene.
Yeah.
I was
So
like,
I
do I
don't
try and sell it on Facebook Marketplace and then get the new one, but then I got to wipe it and all that and make sure my information isn't on there. I don't know. Like I'm I don't know if I want to spend $500, but I am interested at least.
And I
Yeah,
guess
because
that
what
goes
I'm
to
yeah, I was gonna say I'm trying to figure out the trade-in price for a Quest 2 if you can.
Right.
yeah. That's a good question. That's a very good question.
Like, do you think GameStop will do some sort of promo?
That's that's the first place I went to because
Right. Like when it gets closer, because they said fall. So like, do they do like we'll give you, 250 trade credit towards the Quest 3? I might be tempted, honestly, if that's the case, just to upgrade and maybe trade in my Switch too and get a newer one. Just do it all at once.
But yeah, if you guys want to go into your news while I try to
Sure.
see if this is a thing that that anyone can do, to be honest. Uh,
Sure. All right. So first one I have, obviously, we're going to talk about Diablo and games played this week. Diablo 4. Not
Ooh.
technically out unless you bought the more expensive versions you could play this week. But I did want to talk about the cosmetic prices that are going in the shop right now. Now, again,
Is
these
this a
are
rant?
just no. Um, these
Okay.
are cosmetic, right? So like they don't affect gameplay at all. But some of these that I was looking at, a single cosmetic. Now in Diablo 3, you could buy a set of armor and use it between all your classes. In Diablo 4, you cannot. So they are specific to the classes, which is kind of a bummer. But I'm seeing some cosmetic armor that's like $28 a piece.
What?
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And I know it's cosmetic, so you don't have to buy it, but that's a whole lot of money for an in-game armor set.
yeah.
Yeah. Normal clothing is cosmetic, and there's stuff that's like lower in price than that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Some of the other stuff, like I think I got like 2 different ones for the horse, like your mount that came with
Mhm.
the edition, but there's some other horse mount items that aren't as expensive. But yeah, some of it is like that's like Call of Duty prices for skins. That's wild.
that is wild.
Yeah.
But there's whales out there who are gonna buy it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
People were excited for this game. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I was a billionaire, I'd buy one, but not a millionaire. Only if I was a billionaire.
I honestly don't care what my character looks like that
Yeah.
much. I really don't. Maybe once you get towards the end game, then you start like, really messing with like the dyes to change the color and all that kind of stuff. But for the moment, I'm just like, I don't care what it
Mhm.
looks like. Just let me play. All right, next one is this. I thought this was interesting. Arcane talking about Redfall said that they were hoping that Microsoft was actually going to cancel the game so that they could remake it as a single player game. But then Microsoft said no, put it
Ooh.
out.
Hmm.
Interesting.
So
Microsoft.
they
Interesting. Yeah.
knew it was bad before it came out. They were like, yeah, let's. I you picture them like in a boardroom, like pleading, like, please don't make us put this out. It's gonna hurt our reputation, even though
Yeah.
it's already pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think a single player version with more time would have helped it though?
Any more time in the oven, just in general, would have helped it.
I
Definitely,
don't.
that cancellation combined with the amount of more time they would have to be able to work on it. I don't know.
I I don't know if that. I don't know if more time helps this game.
Yeah, and like specifically, anybody who had a single player experience with it had a worse experience than the
Which was me.
multiplayer, at least. Which yeah,
Yeah.
It was pretty
so
bad.
I don't know how you take that concept and make it single player, make it like your own a vampire death loop. I don't know,
Yeah,
like without like some
Yeah,
of the
that sounds
mechanics that
like
they had
really
in
the
that
only
game.
way. Yeah.
Vampire Dishonored,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
that's better.
maybe that would work, but that's not like the core of this game is not that style of game though. So I don't know. I mean, it would have to have been like years from now, right?
Yeah,
Like
there's a
2 or
lot you'd
3
have
more
to do.
years. You'd have to remake that game from scratch.
Yeah.
Um. All right. I'll combine these two because they're kind of quick. One, Spider-Man 2, the world map is twice the size of the first game. Good or bad? I always lean towards bad. I hate when
I think
things
it's
get bigger.
I say it's
I think
good.
I think
Okay.
it's Spider-Man. It's a little unique
Okay.
because
Yeah,
like, and of course this it just goes with these two most recent Spider-Mans. It's fun to swing around.
It is.
it is.
So like that would be where I'm actually kind of happier that it's bigger, because I can't tell you, like, and I'll talk about Across the Spider-Verse a little
Mhm.
bit later, but just like swinging around is almost like therapeutic in a
It is.
way
It is.
when it's done fun, and in both recent games it's fun. So
Yeah,
I do think that it's actually not a bad thing for this game.
I I agree. And speaking of therapeutic, how about swinging around and then just kind of letting yourself drop and then getting that last swing right before you hit
Mm-hmm.
the
Yep.
traffic and you can hear the traffic on the ground as you're swinging
Yep.
past. There's
It's
little
good.
caveats like that.
It does seem like you move faster in this game too, like a lot faster.
Yeah, there
So
are better like traversal ways, because you see a lot of the times now that like the Spider-Men in this game are using themselves as like slingshots in
right.
a way, which is probably the easiest way to do it. Get on top of the Avengers building or the Empire State Building and slingshot your way across to whether it's Long Island or Manhattan or whatever is bigger
Yeah.
in this game.
Yeah. The other one that kind of goes with it a little, it's not Spider-Man, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will have a high degree of freedom when exploring outside Midgar, which is, I think, exactly what I wanted to hear, because for me, once you get out of Midgar in Final Fantasy VII, that's where it's like wide open, go wherever you want. And back then, they didn't really tell you where to go. You just had to kind of figure it out. But
Yeah.
I was hoping that was going to be the case. So for me, that's good news that they're kind of sticking towards what you expect.
I'll just
Yeah.
play whatever because I've never played it.
Just announce it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like at
Give
this
us a
point,
date.
yeah.
Give us a date. But that is nice.
You think one of these conferences has to have it, right?
Yeah, and I'm
yeah.
personally thinking like March of next year. I don't think
Okay.
it comes out this year, but I think
didn't the other one come out in like February or something, or January? It was real early. Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I do remember. I think February, if I remember correctly.
It was like right at the beginning of the year. I remember that. And then the last one I have is I got to talk about this Silent Hill Ascension. I don't know if you guys watched the trailer. Did you watch the trailer, Craig?
Is it newly released trailer?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't peep that. No, I just remember the compilations of the other ones.
You might need to watch it while Craig explains this.
So here's the thing that's kind of making me, I don't know how I feel about it. Silent Hill Ascension is going to be, I don't even know how to explain the way they're trying to explain it. It's like everybody decides what happens in this, but it's not like a like game you play. It's almost like something we're all going to watch and vote on what the character does, and then that determines what happens.
As if like, and just to like use it as an explanation, kind of like if Until Dawn was like,
I think so.
And you made and like online people made the decision and that decided.
They're very like, they're not saying a whole lot, but it's weird because I was expecting like, all right, what is this game going to be? And I'm not even sure if it's going to be a game.
What
More so that this is something we're all watching and voting on.
I'm watching the trailer right
Yeah.
now. What was that Netflix movie? They dropped a Netflix movie.
The one where you pick stuff?
The one where you pick stuff.
Yeah.
And that
Wasn't
was
one
a
of
fun.
them called Bumbercatch or something like that?
It was
Or
yes, yes. You're right. You're right.
There
It
was
was
a
it was a name like that.
there was a WWE one they did that was like choose your own adventure. There was a Black Mirror episode that
I
you
think
could
that's the
choose
one
your
I'm
own.
thinking of.
That's what it was.
Yep. So I don't know. Like, I'm assuming that's what this is going to be. I don't think there's anything in this game that we're controlling. I really think it's just like we're all going to watch these. I'm going to say episodes and then vote. And they're going to have like 2 or 3 different versions. And then whatever gets the most, they'll put that version out. It's just very weird. It's not what I want out of Silent Hill, but I guess it could be cool. Maybe.
I mean, I know this is one of 80 Silent Hill projects.
Right.
But I don't know. The concept is ambitious. The only thing that I could say from that trailer, though, the for lack of a better term, the ghouls or whatever you would consider, like the enemies look dope. I saw some things in there I've never seen Silent Hill ever do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's pretty ambitious there. I don't know how I feel about it.
This could be a good way for somebody like Barry who doesn't like horror games to experience Silent Hill. Right?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. This all sounds really weird.
So weird. I don't know what they're thinking. That they're just so out there on everything they're doing Silent Hill. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to mess them all up.
It's probably because of the flexibility. If you are talking about doing 5 or 6 Silent Hills.
Yeah.
You have the flexibility to do different concepts, but like that's not necessarily the best thing, which is to the point that's being made here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, for Barry, it could be a great way for him to experience that. Barry, I can tell you if there's a game that scares
Barry. That's what's happening.
He's a horror game veteran at this point.
Silent Hill, Barry.
You have played your fair share of horror games at this point. I consider you a veteran now.
I wish I felt like one. But
Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8, Dead Space. That's a good lineup that you've played.
Yeah, and don't count Callisto Protocol. That's not scary at all.
No, that wasn't scary. Yeah. But I mean, that's another one. So I mean, yeah, you're a veteran at this point.
Thanks,
Barry,
guys.
the below chapter was scary. Don't pretend like that wasn't.
That was fine. I wasn't scared of. I wasn't scared of below. I didn't have any issues with that.
Okay.
It was not fine. I will watch you play that without wincing.
Yeah, it's a little uneasy. But yeah, that's all I had.
All right, so I got some news on the rumor mill. Apparently, there is Square Enix was hinting at another big release happening in 2023. And the same user who predicted that Persona 3 remake was going to be a thing coming up in the announcement and such like that, also predicted that, and I don't know if you're ready for this, guys, but it's going to be a Final Fantasy 9 remake. So
give me that.
For people like my childhood, forget 8, forget your first Final Fantasy ever. Like people
why
like
would
me
you
who
do that?
I don't know. They're still doing 7.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to skip 8, which is also a revered Final Fantasy, and go straight to 9. Now, don't get me wrong. I love 9.
Same.
For specific reasons. It's its own game. There's nothing like it, and the characters in it. But that's the rumor going around. I know we have 80 million events coming up where it could be announced, but I don't know what you guys thought of that.
That makes me a little angry.
It's not so much angry for me as it is like, and here's the thing that I need to try and understand, and maybe I'll get your 2 opinions on this. Probably the games that could be remastered, because like someone like me never played them, are like Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like early Final Fantasy. But do you feel like, how I feel is like, do they not remaster them because like they're these kind of, like, they're almost untouchable. Like, this is what started the Final Fantasy franchise. If they were to make them in the light of a Final Fantasy VII, would we
You
in
can't.
some way diminish?
You can't.
Like, yeah,
Those
so
two
it's
those 2D graphic games, you can't. And they just had that collection that came out
the
that like you
pixel
can't
remaster.
find. That's
Exactly.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the best version to get, right? Is I don't think you change the pixel Final Fantasies. Like
Mhm.
Nintendo to Super Nintendo, that era of Final Fantasy, I think you just leave alone. Like you make them look better, but you don't do the whole remaster treatment. I think 7 is the right answer of where you start, right? When it got to pixels, like PlayStation,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
go from 7 on, but for me, like you don't skip over 8. I know, like when you look at 7, 8, 9, 10, 8, I think is the one that people will, if you had to drop one, would drop personally. Me, I wouldn't. I'd probably drop 10 over 8.
Oh,
But
that's hard.
it
Yeah,
is. But
there's a lot of people who would disagree for sure.
right. I
And it's
would take
fun.
7, 8, 9. You don't drop 7 is the best one.
Yeah.
I'll die on the hill of 7 is the best Final Fantasy. I know people say 2 and 3. But for
6
me,
is also up there.
6, yep. But for me, 7 is the best Final Fantasy ever made, and I honestly think that 9 is the second. And then
Wow.
I do, because I really like 9. 8 is somewhere, I don't know, but I don't think you skip over 8 if you're going to remaster games. That's a
Okay.
No.
classic.
You know what we need to do? We need to
Uh-oh.
gather ourselves and like 10 other Final Fantasy fans and their
Yeah.
families, and we need to have this as the Thanksgiving discussion, because
It'll get ugly.
this sounds like the one thing that would ruin a
It would.
Thanksgiving. Like if you would start talking, because that's hard. Those
Mm-hmm.
4 specifically, like which one do you drop? I
Yeah.
mean, perfect world, we wouldn't drop any of them. But if you do that whole like desert island thing where you can only take 3 and not 4, which
Right.
ones do you take? You would get a wide variety of answers, and some pretty good emotion behind those answers.
I guess if you're looking at just the PlayStation 1 era, which is 7, 8, and 9, then 8's the one that gets dropped. Easily. Because 7 and 9 are just that much better. But
Easily.
easily, yeah.
Easily.
9 is fantastic. That's an incredible game. And 7's untouchable. So like I don't know, for me, like 10 is good, but I don't hold it as high as everybody else does.
I have the same feeling of, like we were talking about last week, Metal Gear Solid 2 being the first PlayStation 2 Metal Gear Solid. So that's why that's what 10 felt like to me. It was like, oh my God, look at these graphics.
Yep.
It tells
And
a
those
great story. There's some,
cutscenes.
and those cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have trouble. 8 is my favorite, but it was my first one. So
Okay.
it's kind of hard to move that needle. But 9 is a fantastic game, and 7 we don't have to talk about as being fantastic. We know it's basically in the Smithsonian, and
It really is.
So,
man.
But we just got to keep our eyes and ears to the wind. Is that a thing? Whatever, to the ground, whatever. Just to kind of see what these things, what these next events coming up with are offering. Speaking of Metal Gear Solid, that's actually my next thing. Konami released a statement. They will not be changing anything from the original story in the upcoming Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Gamma
Sweet.
Epsilon. They will not be changing the story. They also actually have people internally working on the project who were working on the original Metal Gear project as well. To that end, they will not be inviting back voices or voice actors from the original games. It looks like what they're going to be doing is using the original recordings or the original dialogue from the other games, which is not that bad if that's what they're going to do. But that's a little update. I know that there was a lot of hype when when that trailer came out during the PlayStation event, but obviously 80 million questions popped up. Konami was quick to respond. Don't know if you guys have any
good on them.
Anything.
Yeah, you can clean up those original audio recordings and it'll be fine.
I think there's a little bit of I guess almost like fondness of like those old, Snake talking over the radio.
Yep.
Sort of things.
Metal Gear.
It would be. I think it would be really hard to redo that with
Otacon.
today's technology. Yeah, like Otacon.
Metal Gear.
That was good. That was real good. It's a Metal Gear.
Yeah. He was just every game he was flabbergasted that somebody created another nuclear shooting mech of some sort.
Man, I gotta watch the memes of that stuff again. There's some really good stuff with those memes.
You guys are literally gonna make me take all my Metal Gears and Final Fantasies off the shelf and play through them again. That's what's gonna happen.
Seriously.
I would say hold off on Final Fantasy with 16 coming out in the next couple
True.
weeks. Just
True.
do Metal Gear stuff.
Yeah, and then I have a couple of quick firing ones. I just have to reiterate that Tears of the Kingdom is the fastest selling Nintendo game of all time. I just had to say it. It happened. It happened. And to that end, with the new releases that are coming out, or that came out, Diablo and Street Fighter 6 have both been released to, not Diablo 4 yet, unless you purchase, like Craig said earlier, the more expensive copies, but quite the critical acclaim for both games. Mm-hmm. Street Fighter 6 is the fastest downloaded game, fastest selling game. Whatever you call it on Steam. The most played, fighting game already on Steam is what I meant. I don't know if I was expecting Street Fighter 6 to have this type of impact. I think that trailers over the years have made me skeptical on whether games are going to be good or not, but apparently everybody who has touched this game, and I hear what is the best about it is the accessibility for people who are not fighter game people, which is, I guess, us three. We talk about that? I'm now re-examining whether I want to play that game or not. I don't know if you gentlemen did. We did not get to games played yet this week, but
you just wait.
I can't wait now. But both Diablo 4 and Street Fighter 6 have been acclaimed already in their short lifespan in the public's hand. So very excited to see that.
Yeah, both games look good. I'm not re-examining myself as to I know fighting games aren't for me. Sorry, the moment the word you say frame data, I'm like, no. Yeah, frame data, you lose me.
Fighting games are intimidating. They really are.
Yeah.
They are. They are if you play. So, like, I could see myself playing them by myself, single player. I think they become intimidating multiplayer because that's got, like, if we think we get smacked during, like, Call of Duties and, all those type of, like, first-person shooter games when you're playing multiplayer, people who play fighting games are marvels.
Different breed. Yeah.
They're a different breed. Yep. So, but yeah, that's all I had.
All right, I did forget to say one. Main thing was it was just a small, quick fire one as well. Spider-Verse has grossed over $280 million in the first 3 days since it came out. We're going to be talking about that in movies coming up for us, but just wanted to throw that out there. And let's get into games.
Yeah.
Games this week are my final thoughts on Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I'm the first one of my friends to beat it.
Wow.
How?
So
I don't know how.
It's hard not to
put your hour count down. How long?
I think it's like 70 hours. Should I go get my Switch?
Yes.
And get
70 hours?
That it blew my mind that 70 hours and he beat it.
Hey, look, it might just be 60. We'll see.
Go ahead. Because
you're not enjoying it.
So we talked about a little of this before we started recording, Barry and I. And my thing that I asked him, I was like, how long did it take? And he said, I think it's like 70. Every other person that I've seen online, reviews have all said at least 100. And when he said 70, I was like, did you skip everything?
He didn't enjoy it.
But I guess 70 that's a lot of hours for a game.
What he did is he ordered the best steak in the steakhouse and he just devoured it instead of enjoying it.
But he can always go back, right? He could go and play more.
He can. I mean, the post game is just essentially just,
clean up.
I think you can even clean up, and I think you can even go back and just fight Ganon again. I don't even know if Ganon's the final boss. I know the game's alluding.
He has to.
75
All
hours.
right, 75 hours.
75 hours.
Okay. Craig's pretty mad over here at you, by the way.
I just capped 100. I just capped 100, and I still have 2 dungeons beat. You know why? Because I enjoy it like a true
God.
Zelda fan, and I'm saying it.
I'm gonna get into it. I will get into what I have done,
and I still haven't touched
wait.
it 2 weeks from now. Took a nice healthy break. Okay, did you play anything else besides Zelda?
I actually played like Miles. I played Spider-Man Miles Morales.
I was gonna download that again. I saw it was on PlayStation Plus, and I was like, I kind of want to play through it again.
Yeah,
I mean, I own it. But...
I've been playing Miles Morales again because of it.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it. We'll get into it more. Craig's just a happy man now.
He is. All right. So for me this week, I did finish my replay through of Last of Us Part 2 with my daughter. That game still holds up as one of the best games ever made, hands down. So besides that, Diablo 4 for sure, Street Fighter 6, and I have a little Apex rant for this week.
Oh God! All right. So if I was walking in somewhere, I'm going to use a food example again.
Okay.
If I was walking in and I saw all of what Craig just said put on a menu, I would say I'm going to be here for 8 hours and I'm going to enjoy every single second. You got a rant.
Yep, I do.
You've got one of the best games of all time that you played with your daughter.
Yep.
You have Street Fighter 6 and Diablo 4, which we just talked about, the acclaim there. So
one of everything on the menu.
It's a big week.
I'm going to cry. Yeah. My week is small. I am still playing Tears, but I also do have a good chunk. I'd say about 6 to 10, maybe closer on the 10 hours into Diablo 4.
Wow.
I could be wrong, but if I was ballparking, I would say in between 6 and 10, definitely.
How many characters have you started?
I took your advice because we were texting throughout the week, and I stuck to Necromancer, but I do have my first takes.
I think because I've only done one so far, and I think I'm at like level 15, I think, in Diablo. But anyway, Barry, let's go.
Okay.
I'm snuggled in.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. My final thoughts. You will never hear me talk about this game again
till the end of the year.
Till the end of the year. So Tears of the Kingdom. I'll give you guys kind of an idea of what was going on in my thought process this week. And here's the thing, and Craig, you should know better as well for this as a Zelda veteran. you go and complete every single little detail of a Zelda game. Do you know what happens when you go to the end of the game?
It's a cakewalk, right?
It's underwhelming.
Yeah.
It is underwhelming, and it is that with almost every single Zelda game in history.
That's fair. It's fair.
I started playing one day with about 3 dungeons to go, and I've done over 100 shrines. It's not like I haven't put my time in to Zelda, but I wanted to feel something during the final boss battle. I didn't want to go in there and be I wanted to struggle with this with the final approach to Zelda. So I put in a 12-hour gaming session to finish Breath of the Wild 2.0 or Tears of the Kingdom, no matter how you put it. And so I did. And final thoughts are, the way I played the game is how you should play Zelda. Stop trying to 100% everything. If you really want to 100% it and you're really having that much fun with the game, you'll go back to it. Is my thinking. I haven't felt the ending of this game like the most recent comparison for me is Skyward Sword. And I know Skyward Sword is a little bit mixed because of its the way that game changes things up. But the boss battle for Skyward Sword and like how underprepared I was for both of the boss battles here make like the victorious moments a million times better. And I desperately mean it. Okay. When I beat Ganondorf in Skyward Sword, I was jumping up in my house because he killed me like at least 20 plus times because I didn't have a good enough shield, apparently, is what I was missing there. It's the same thing with Tears of the Kingdom here. Ganondorf is hard. He's not unbeatable, to be honest. To be honest, the approach to Ganondorf, like the final bit of it, is harder than Ganondorf himself. So keep that in mind there. but the ending of this game will go down as one of the best ones in Zelda lifetime for me. Upwards with Skyward Sword, the
Ocarina.
Ocarina as well.
Okay.
Ocarina,
I was
Skyward
about to
Sword,
say.
yeah. Ocarina, Twilight Princess, and Tears of the Kingdom have 3 of the best endings in Zelda. Like, and for me, the boss battle was tough. I beat him first try, but it's what I wanted. Like, I beat Ganondorf, and I was screaming, "Let's go!" In my house. And the ending of it, and I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, of course. Um, I was emotional. Like there was a little bit of it, and there's a certain sequence in which like people will, I had shivers go down my spine, during one of the endings. That's how into the
All
game
right.
I was. 12 hours, and finally
Okay.
finishing it was like, okay, this was 150% worth it. I get why people don't want to I get why people are trying to 100% the game and get every shrine. If you're getting every Korok seed, I'm sorry, but you're a psychopath.
Yep.
Yes.
I want to throw every single Korok seed into the ocean and never have them get to their friends ever again. Like,
isn't there like
Hold up.
356
1
of
second.
them?
Pause, Barry. Real quick, a question
Yeah.
for you. Since I
Yes.
didn't play Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
In me playing through this game, can I just not do those? Will I lose something by not doing them?
So I didn't look up and
Okay.
it could be a spoiler because in Breath of the Wild you got something completely useless for doing all of the Korok seeds.
Okay.
So I didn't want to waste my time doing it. I feel like, to be honest, not getting all the Korok seed makes the game more difficult. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
you don't have 15 different weapons to choose from. You have to pick your weapon strategically. Okay, I need some rock smashing weapons. I need some weapon dealing. I need some spears and that kind of thing. And I like that. Like, I like the stress of having a limited inventory, whether it's with bows, swords, or, weapons. So, keep that in mind. I haven't seen what it is. I imagine they had to do something at least a little bit better than what they gave you in Breath of the Wild. But
Sure.
if it's another one of those things where it's completely useless, thank God I didn't have another second thought about Korok seeds.
It's just like when I'm playing it and I'm like, all right, I'm headed to this whatever objective, and then on my way I see one off to the side, right? Like, is it worth my time to veer off and spend 5 minutes because this guy's like, get me over to my friend, which is all the way over there, or do I just forget it and keep going? Because it doesn't seem like it really gives me anything.
I mean, do it so you can, like, most people are okay with maybe, I don't know, 10 weapon slots.
Okay.
6 to 10 bow slots, depending on your play style. They really lean on bows in this game. And you don't really have to upgrade the shield spot, to be honest. Like, if you want to, you can. So I don't know. I usually try to have 10 to 15 slots for weapons because I want to make sure I got everything.
Okay.
And then 6 to 10 bows.
So if I run across them in my playthrough, I should just do them, but I don't need to actively search them out.
To be honest, I wouldn't even if you think it's going to take more than 5 minutes to solve it, leave it alone. Like, a lot of the times it's a random rock that you pick up and you get a Korok seed. That's fine.
Yeah.
And this is why, I've had a couple days to process my endings with the game. One, I really wish they'd just bring back 100 gold Skulltulas. Things that were in,
oh yes,
in Ocarina of Time. They're so much easier to just, it's such an easier pill to swallow when I only have to worry about maybe 100 of them rather than 1,000 or hundreds of Korok seeds. And at least at the end of Ocarina of Time, you do all the golden spiders, you get something at least worth it at the end that's kind of cool and unique. Where in Tears of the Kingdom, it's not worth it. I truly don't think it is. I think I got through the game maybe doing 40, and that's some of them being those, help your friend get over and you get 2 instead of 1. But I actively I ignored them, or I tortured them. I would strap a rocket to one of them, lift them off, walk away, sort of thing.
Walk away. Yep. That's the important step. Walk away.
I was firing them into chasms in the ground and stuff. I'm just
love it.
Get out of here.
Oh, Oh, speaking of that, Barry, I fall into a very small demographic of Zelda player, and I think that's why I'm over 100 hours. I am accidentally prolonging this game. I'm not seeking out every Korok seed. I am not doing every shrine. Sometimes the game just just for me, it's just interesting. And then that's my accidental playthrough. Like, I'll be like, what's over here? And then it happens. But I do like your mentality of playing it, especially for people like us who have umpteen amount of games that are still coming out this year, including a a very close, I feel, Final Fantasy 16 coming out with Diablo and Street Fighter 6 looming. You know what I mean? For people like us that are playing a bunch of games and have a bunch of games we're excited to play, I like your mentality of approaching Zelda and then going back and doing it. You could still do everything after you beat Ganon. You know,
I wanna explore the depths more. I am a-okay with going back to the game and doing more of the depths. Like, I have enough
that's my
hearts
problem.
now to where, like, I don't anything that hits me isn't a one-hit kill, and that's what I care about. I don't When the game feels unfair is when I feel like you need to start going for shrines or upgrading your armor and going for monster parts. And like with it as well, like now that you're done with it, kind of the honeymoon period is over. The UI is like terrible. I'm sorry, but the amount of scrolling you have to do, and it shouldn't be like three different, like you either go by zonai, like weapons that come first, fuse power type, or most used. And like I get most used, like that makes sense there, but when you go to like fuse something, you need to like travel 30 seconds sometimes to find what you're looking for, and sometimes you pass it. Like there really should have been a better way of organizing that and making it so that way somebody doesn't have to scroll a minute to 2 minutes to find what they're looking for, especially if it's something niche. Like you're looking for a certain Lizalvos tail in order to fuse it to your weapon. That's not going to be in most used because you're not looking for that very often. It's not going to be, and depending on the type of tail, it's not going to be in fuse power. So now you're stuck with, okay, I gotta scroll for some sort of time. And like the zonai weapons, I get. Like for the most part, for zonai weapons, instead of ever going to that sorting type, I just went into the menu and picked the zonai weapons I want or zonai devices, so that way I could just build whatever I want from there. But yeah, like overall, again, the game isn't perfect. I truly believe it doesn't deserve a 10. After my time with it, I give it like a 9.5. Maybe if I have to like go in that area. The ending for me is enough, and it was fantastic. I can't wait for more people to get into it because it's also really hard being like one of like the people to finish it to ask like, okay, how do you feel like about the
How do
game?
you
And
feel?
I have one friend that beat it, and he had said that he enjoyed like the final boss battle, but he agrees it's too easy. When you have all the hearts, you have the Hylian shield, you have the max,
Master
yeah, you've well the
Master
master
Sword
sword is
with.
kind of a needed. Um
Oh yeah.
and it's more or less like upgrading your armor to the point where it's maxed out so you're taking even less damage. Like the final boss battle does a lot of good things, and that's what I enjoyed about it. Again, it's one of the best ones. And again, if you're a Zelda fan, like I get having the wondrous portion of like going out there and and discovering. I get like the thrill of discovery with these two, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom games. But the ending is paramount to any game, anything we ever watch in media. The ending is paramount. If you go in there and you're underwhelmed with the final boss battle, it's because you kind of did it to yourself. You made it too easy. If you wanted it to be harder, you needed to not, you know, max out everything or spend 200 hours in the game and then beat the boss. Keep that in mind.
Right.
Keep that in mind.
Is this
In mind.
when we get to the end of the year, where you stand right now? Is this something you're going to be fighting for number one or not?
We have to see. Like the ending it's good. I can't wait for more people to play it. And like the ending itself, it gave me like a top 7 game. After the ending, it's now like in probably my top 5 for sure. But I would just need to again figure out what the rest of the games have to offer this year.
Because I feel like everybody and their mother's going to have this as their game of the year.
Most likely.
right?
Not us three.
Right, but I mean in general, like when you look
But like,
at
yeah.
like Game Awards and IGN
Oh
and
yeah,
all,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be everywhere, right? Game of the year, game of the year, game of the year. I was just curious if you think like it has a potential to be game of the year for you, or if you're thinking that like I've already played stuff that I would put ahead of it this year, or is this like what you've played so far this year? This is the best one.
I think what I've played so far this year is probably the best one. Like, and I've
Okay,
mentioned it here before. Theater Rhythm is fantastic. That is
sure.
in like a top 3. Like, I know that's there. When
Mhm.
I pit it against Zelda, those two are probably back and forth.
Okay,
Very much so for me. So
that's
it's like
fair.
those two are probably battling for my top 2 at the moment. But
Sure. Okay,
that's
Okay.
where I'm at with
that
it
makes
right
sense.
now.
I was just curious where you're at with it. I mean, I again, we had talked before we started recording, but like my plan on this game is to beat it before the end of the year. Like, I don't want to. I know you were trying to get it done before Final Fantasy comes out. I'm looking at it as like this is a game that I'm going to like pick at over the course of the next 6-7 months. And I'll probably still
That's
put
fair.
in 70 to 100 hours, but it's not going to be in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? It's going to be in
Yeah.
months. So I'll play it for half hour here, and drop in and out of it. But I still have 100% plan on at least attempting to beat this game.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you think specifically, Craig, after you're done shipping away. I'm still planning on having it done by Final Fantasy 16. I can't. And like for the Diablo 4 reasons that we'll talk about in a second, I can't have that. I can't have I can't have those 3 games going at the same time. I
Yeah, good
can't.
luck. You should
I can't.
work. You should pick one, and it should probably be Zelda. I would say, because I don't know. I mean, we can get into Diablo if you want, but like, even Diablo is a game where like you can beat the campaign, but like in a Diablo game, that's the beginning. Like you beat that
Yeah.
campaign, and then you go back in under the higher world tiers, and then you start doing the instances and all the different bosses, and that's a 100 to 500 hour game right there, easily.
Yeah.
um yeah, Diablo 4, do you want to get into it since we both played it?
Yes.
First thing I notice is Blizzard is still the best at cutscenes.
Yeah.
They my
Yeah.
goodness.
My good. You
They're
talking about
just
the opening cutscene or any
yeah,
cutscene?
yeah, the beginning one's pretty good.
It
Pretty
is.
good. I think, I mean, when I objectively look at Diablo 4, it's more Diablo at its core, which for me is perfect. I play Diablo like Craig, like you play Zelda, whereas I have here's my main objective, but I will stop at every nook and cranny along the way. And I'm like, oh, let me go check out this cellar over here or whatever. And I think where I'm having the most fun so far is these cellars and these different areas on the map that show
Yeah.
up, these optional areas that you go to. I keep going and I'm like, for instance, today I was like, I'm going to do this one side mission. So I start the side mission. I have somebody with me. And then I see one of those dungeon/cellars off to the side. I'm like, let me go grab that real quick. That real quick turned into a 45-minute dungeon. And I was like,
Yeah.
holy cow, this thing just keeps going. But I was having fun, but I was like, this is like, it's so like you either go into this place and it's very tiny and it says kill all the people and it takes you 30 seconds and you get a chest, or you go into one and it's like this massive area
Massive.
that takes you up to an hour to get through. And then you get back out and you're like, wait, what was I doing again? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was doing this side mission. Um, it's funny when you look at like your missions on the map screen and it says that technically I'm high enough level to do all 3 acts now, and I still haven't barely even started act
Yeah.
1. It's like
Yeah.
there's so many side missions and just random stuff, and like I'm even enjoying the like the little red circles that show up on the map for instances where you'll just go and it's like
Yeah.
kill all these
Somebody's in trouble
people.
or
Yeah,
some. Yeah.
so cool. It looks good. It's running pretty well on my computer. I haven't had any issues. I had an issue, yes, Saturday. I couldn't log in the afternoon. I couldn't get in until the nighttime, but it seems like that's all cleaned up now. I haven't had any issues since then. I've been sticking with the rogue, and then once I just wanted to stick with one to see the story, and get through the campaign, and then I might start branching out with the other characters. But so far, it controls well. I think the in-game cutscenes are better than Diablo 3 was, and there's just an overwhelming amount of things to do that I feel like this is going to be. I'm going to be playing this for as long as I played Diablo 3, which was like years. Honestly, this is going to be a game I consistently come back to. I really don't have any negatives. Do you have any negatives?
I don't.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't experience any issues when I played either. I know that there's certain people did,
Mm-hmm.
even though not everybody has access to it yet.
Right.
Uh, but like regarding the content, if this is like all the stuff that they have now, and they promised how much they're going to be releasing and releasing and releasing, this is going to be a, a over time masterpiece, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope I don't eat my words with using the word masterpiece, but I just got a feeling, I got a
Yep.
feeling. The ambiance is fantastic. The sounds, get yourself a pair of noise canceling headphones if you do
Yep.
not own one, because the combination of the eerie music that does have transitionals to different types of music depending on where you are, to the sound of whatever you haven't seen in the darkness that's running at you, is awesome. It's just awesome. And it's got its Diablo flair where they kind of hit you with a lot of blood and gore out the gate. Everybody who is a human, I feel sad for them living in this type of world, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of crappy stuff going on. They give a wonderful introduction to Lilith in the beginning of the game. All I got to say is skin cape. It's
Yep.
all I got to say is
Skin
skin
cape.
cape. I was watching it and I was like, yes, the voice is spot on with her. She sounds great. She's got like oh my God, who's the woman that plays Domino in the movie Domino?
Keira
It's the
Knightley.
same person it was the same person who was Cersei
Oh.
in Game of Thrones. She's got kind of like that type of voice where you could
Mm-hmm.
picture her being somebody that leads the masses with a very calm, motherly voice, as they point to very much.
Yes.
Great character there. Her second in command is also awesome as well, or son, I guess, second son, whatever
Yeah.
relation he has to her. I forget, but I'm like you, Craig. I'll pick up somebody in town who says like, "Hey, my husband went over here and I haven't seen him again." That's everybody's storyline. I'm
Everybody.
joking, but everybody's losing all their friends and family in this world. And then you go out and then you see a seller, and like you were saying, you stop, and maybe it's one of those ones where it takes 5 minutes to beat, kill all the enemies, you got a chest and leave, or it ends up being a 45-minute one. But you have fun,
Yep.
while you're doing it. I'm doing Necromancer, like I said earlier in the podcast. It's great. I was a little bit worried. I have a Diablo problem where I'll start and I think that my character will not be good end game based off the character I choose. So then I restart it. So thankfully Craig was the voice of reason for me and said stick with the Necromancer, and I stuck with them, and I'm loving the type of gameplay that I'm getting there. I just wanted fun with raising the dead and having bone and blood abilities. I almost went druid,
Okay.
but I did druid in a Diablo game in the past. So it's great. I'm saying first impressions top 8.
Yeah.
I may change, but I'm saying top 8. It runs smoothly, and it's just a great time. It's just a great time. So I can't wait to play more of it.
I think, yeah, it's tough. I maybe top 5 so far. We'll see. I think the only thing I can knock for it, I was trying to think of anything, is I feel like the skill tree is a little overwhelming. There's just so many options of like different
That's fair.
abilities. That kind of goes back to like, I don't have a whole lot of experience in World of Warcraft. And I'm sure somebody coming from like World of Warcraft and be like, yeah, I have like 80,000 abilities. It's whatever. But for me, I'm just like, I'm trying to map all these abilities to like the side buttons on my mouse so I can like easily access them. And then I still have to use the keyboard as well. So I'm like trying to smack all these buttons at as I'm playing. But it is like there's so many different ways you can build your character out just between each class. Like, even in mine, like I always lean more towards like staying far away from the enemies and hitting them from very far away. But there's a ton of options in that class for up close too. So I found myself kind of balancing between the two to be like, I want to stay far away, but if my ability, like my mana as it used to be, is draining, I have my up close that will help raise my mana up quicker so I can get back to my more powerful spells, or long range weapons. But yeah, it's an incredible game. I really don't
Yeah.
think they could have asked for a better release. We'll see how it goes. Tuesday, I think, is when it officially comes out, right?
Yes.
We'll
Yes.
see if the servers die again. They might. But
Yeah.
so far, it's been pretty good. I think the longest I waited on that first day was like 5 minutes to get in.
That's good.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah. I might
I
stay away from it fully on Tuesday.
really,
Just
yeah,
if I don't get in very quickly, like you said, I don't know how the servers are going to be that day because
right.
it's getting so much good attention, and that's already building up more of the hype for the people who bought the standard version of the game or haven't bought it yet and just want to buy it that day.
Yep.
But holy
Yeah.
mackerel, they got something here.
Now I need to play more Zelda, and obviously this probably doesn't surprise people coming from me, but I think I might put it ahead of Zelda right now.
Yeah.
I think it might be better game, better polish.
Unless Barry's ending is going to touch me the way it touched Barry.
Sure.
I'm going to say right now. I don't know. Actually, I can't yet.
Yeah, that's a tough one, and Diablo is not one for like an ending that's going to blow your mind. Like most people don't play Diablo for the story. Let's be honest. We're just playing it to get better gear and sell the old gear and salvage it and upgrade our stats. That's all we're doing. Me personally, I could care less about the story. I really don't care. So I don't think the ending of Diablo is going to overtake the ending of Zelda at all. All right, Street Fighter 6. And get into that real quick.
Talk about it.
This game is beautiful. I don't even like fighting games other than Marvel vs. Capcom. And man, this game is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. The story mode, World Tour, is insanely well done. It's the best way for somebody like me who's not like I've played a lot of Street Fighter in my life, but I'm not good at it. So it's a good way to introduce you to the game. It kind of plays like a Yakuza game. You kind of walk around these cities and getting fights on the street, and you're doing these missions and side missions and leveling up your created character and all that kind of stuff. It's very detailed for a fighting game, like side thought. You know what I mean? So I really like World Tour. I think it's very cool. It's just when you just straight up play this game, like just play normal Street Fighter 6, the animations for the intros are incredibly beautiful. The loading screens are incredible. Before you start the match and they're doing like their poses are insane. It's like buttery smooth, incredible. And on the other side of that, like I'm not going to play online that much because I know my limit and I know I'm going to get killed. But the area you can walk around for multiplayer is insanely well done. You can go and there's like rows of like arcade cabinets for Street Fighter 6. You go sit down and you can get a match. Or you can go around with your created character and just kind of do a whole bunch of different things. Show off your created character. It has like a giant screen at the top who will tell you like, hey, this is the person who's won the most matches today. This is the person who has the longest streak. Or you can ignore all that and just go straight multiplayer matches and it'll just find one for you. And you don't have to go into that if you don't want to. But man, like I guess we're going to have to wait and see like the diehard, like extremely good Street Fighter fans, if they like this game. But for somebody who's like a casual, there's 3 different control schemes. So you can start off on the easiest one and kind of work your way up to the classic Street Fighter controls and kind of learn your way, and do it that way, which is what I'm doing. But I'm having a blast. Like I really am. It's been perfect. Like play a bunch of Diablo and then play a couple of matches of Street Fighter. It's just been like incredibly good. This one might actually end up on a list somewhere for me. We'll see. It's hard to pick a fighting game.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a battle between this and Mortal Kombat this year, though.
What do you think about people, or like, let's say the developers of Mortal Kombat are taking a look and being like, "Oh man," and like kind of maybe trying to like stick some things in there because
Mm-hmm.
like this is a bad year for them to come out with
Right.
something, that,
Yeah.
and they've already announced it too. But I don't know. Could this
Yeah.
be a autopsy simulator? Oh my god, what's the other game?
Mortuary assistant.
Mortuary assistant, where like
Maybe.
where like I
Uh,
don't know,
yeah,
because
maybe.
that got pushed. That still
Right.
doesn't have a date.
Right. I,
As
I
we've
don't know.
found out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we have to. We'll see. I just think that Street Fighter V was so bad that they had to just go back and be like, all right, how do we redeem ourselves? And I think they did. I think they're going to be in a good spot for a while with this one. Yeah, so 100%. Like I would recommend this to just about anybody. But I think if you're not a fighting game fan like we aren't, maybe wait until it's not $70. Maybe like a $30 or $40 sale is probably worth it. Unless you just decide that you're going to dedicate your life to becoming a good Street Fighter player, which I'm
Fan,
not.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Um,
Good.
one thing, just one more thing before
Sure.
we go on. We could have another category for the end of the year, and it's going to be studio that has the best year, and Capcom is already number
Capcom.
one.
Yeah,
So
100%. It's Capcom all the way. They're killing it. All right. Let me do this Apex rant real quick. So I've been playing a ton of Apex. Everybody knows that. That's been my go-to for when I don't want to play anything serious. I've been trying to do the ranked thing because that's always fun. I went into it with like this. I want to make a solid attempt to get to Predator, right? Like the top Apex rank.
Okay.
This is my goal, right? And I was like, I want to see how high I can get playing by myself with random people and just see how far I can go, right? It's a good way to test how good you think you are. Now they've changed the way the rank system works now. So I'm in platinum right now, and the way it works is up until now. It might change once I get up higher, but every game I go into, I'm negative 35 points. Right? It doesn't matter if I'm platinum, gold, silver, bronze. It's negative 35. When you get to the final 10 teams remaining, you're in the positive, right? Like you're not losing points at that point. But if you kill people like before the top 10 teams are left, you don't really see any points going towards it. So like if I kill 4 people and my team dies 12th, I'm still negative 35, right? Like I'm still taking a loss. It encourages you to play as a team to get to the top 10 teams, right? What I'm seeing now when I got to platinum, and this is where the rant comes in, is an overabundance of people as soon as you jump out to land, going off on their own and hiding up on some high wall and not moving until the top 10. It's like it's happening almost every other game for me now. And it's because of the new ranking system where there's no incentive to go kill anything until top 10. So all these teams like are having these random people be like, I'm going to go hide in a bush or a tree or way up high where nobody's going to see me, and screw my team. Right. They don't care. And it's just been like this massive headache where I'm like, I don't think it's possible for me to play it without 2 other people at this point because
Mm-hmm.
it's so bad. So I don't know why they decided to change the way the point system works, where it almost feels like killing people is pointless. I don't know what their thought process is, but like it's really starting to get under my skin, and I'm like reporting every single person who does it. But there's got to be a better way. I don't know how Call of Duty does it because they have ranked now. I don't know how they do it, but there's got to be a better way to prevent that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what
yeah, that
it
ruins the
is.
game.
It does because everybody is so concerned about their rank, right? They like they'll rat it out so they can get to Predator or Diamond or whatever, and they don't care. In like me getting angry and yelling at them on the mic, they could care less. They just sit there and like, I don't care. I'm getting points. Leave if you want. I'm not going to come revive you. That's every game, and I'm just like, I can't. It makes me want to throw my controller.
Yeah.
But maybe a better reporting system, something. I don't know. There's got to be an
Maybe.
answer, and maybe they'll look at it and realize, oh man, this wasn't a good idea. But yeah, Apex, please fix it, please.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
getting
that's
so
frustrating.
angry. But yeah, that's all I played.
Okay. So, we'll then get into movies and TV shows for this week. For me, I watched Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Spider Verse Across the Spider Verse,
Mhm.
and the Ted Lasso finale.
I also watched the Ted Lasso finale, and I also watched Spider-Man.
I didn't watch anything.
I knew it was
Okay.
coming. I knew it
Yeah,
was coming.
He's played too much Diablo and
Mhm.
Zelda.
Go ahead, guys. I will.
Look, once you
Say,
finish Zelda, you're free. Your
Yep.
shackles,
yes,
they're
I
gone.
know. You guys talk. I'll say things like, "Oh wow, that's interesting," or "Wow, that movie was great," or whatever.
That was a great movie.
I'll talk about Shazam first, just because
Sure.
that's the one thing that we both haven't watched. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Just overall, it was okay. I
Yeah.
watched the movie. I didn't think it was really anything special. It just feels like family this, family that. My family, keep the family together. I thought the ending would have been kind of cool if they killed off Shazam. That would have been like maybe
Agreed.
redeemed it for me a bit more.
Yep.
But they didn't kill Shazam. He just Gal Gadot makes a very very
Yes.
short appearance for plot reasons, and he's back to life. Like I get that DC is changing and that James Gunn is now really going to be heading everything, but I just think it would be cool if one of these superhero movies, like it's at least in the DC especially too, just like you know Shazam, like or maybe like she's Billy, this iteration of Billy Batson dies or something like that. But I just thought it would have been cool for like an ultimate sacrifice that actually means something. Like with Superman, when Superman died, we had the Snyder cut where all the crime and everything is going crazy and things like that. So it's just that kind of thing I wish they did. But overall, I thought the movie was all right.
What about the I know you personally, I think you should have died as well and not come back, but how do you feel about the after credit scene? Did you
I
watch it?
was well, I was really confused. I don't get it.
You don't get it?
Like you're
Okay.
talking about the Mad Doctor talking to the caterpillar thing, right?
No, the one after that.
There's one after that?
Yeah.
Oh snap!
Huh?
There
So
is one after that.
is
It's go ahead.
doesn't he face off, or is it? I know they're supposed to face off against Black Adam, right?
No.
Is that what you're talking
That
about?
that was the original plan, but The
Okay.
Rock didn't want to do it.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
So
that's right.
He didn't want
I
to.
remember that.
just enlighten me then, because I'm confused.
There are two characters that show up in the end credit scene from Peacemaker.
Oh yes, sorry, yes, and then the Justice Society.
So they're going to bring Shazam into Peacemaker.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
I'm,
no, I
I'm
do
okay
remember
with
that.
that.
Sorry.
Like
Yeah.
John Cena and Zachary Levi together. That's cool. Like that's cool.
That is a nice combo.
Yeah. Like the movie itself, I was kind of like, it's okay. But that end credit scene, I was like, you know what? I would rather watch Shazam in a Peacemaker TV show than in a standalone movie, personally.
Yeah.
Like I think that he works better in a TV show aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
No,
overall, it's kind of a meh movie.
Yeah, like it has the potential, like for like a Peacemaker, like Shazam, it has potential to like really be, Peacemaker's kind of off the rails,
Mm-hmm.
and to see how he may influence like Shazam could be a kid.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. But you want to get into Ted Lasso then?
Yeah, we could do that. We have to be careful because he's still not caught up over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. And like Ted Lasso, like it ended how I thought. Like there's no, I didn't really think it was going to do anything crazy. The only like thing for me in that this season kind of missed. Oh man. Okay, so here's how I'll say it.
Sure.
It feels like all the important scenes in this, like in that should be in the show, are not.
Yep.
Like
100%.
Oh, and this finale opens up in a really weird way that I was like it was funny, but I have no idea what's going on. But there is like overall this season, I still think it's written like I still enjoyed like the Ted Lasso and everything like that, but it just felt like every major moment I never got to see, which then like
Yep.
makes me feel, because like the whole point of it was like being part of seeing that team go through all of its trials and tribulations. And there's one thing in particular that like should have been shown, like really should have been shown, and you might know what I'm talking
Yep.
about, Craig.
Yep.
And they kind of gloss over it without any. They
Yeah.
don't even mention or show it, but
Oh, wow.
it's crazy. I still enjoyed the ending. I'm okay if it ends here. It
Yep.
it does not need to do anything else. But Apple TV is not calling it the series finale. They're calling it a season finale. So we
Right.
may get more just without certain characters.
Right. And I think I was reading like they had a Reddit AMA with Coach Beard, right, who is
Yeah.
one of the writers on the show. And they specifically asked, they were like, what's the thought on the show? Are you done? Are you going to come back and make more and do different, different people, or what are you doing? And his answer was the same. It's like, we're going to take a step back and breathe and then really sit down and be like, do we need to do more? Do we want to do more? Or do we leave it as is? I'm of the opinion that you should probably just leave it as it is, because I think there's a moment at the end that I kind of thought like there was another team brought up, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, they could go that way. Would I be interested? Probably not. But they could do that if they wanted to. I just think it's probably for the best that they let it go, because when I look at this season, to me, the season was good, but I felt like it was like they were kind of running out of ideas of what to do.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, now what do we do? All right, well, we obviously got to make this all wrap itself back together nicely, which they kind of did, I guess. They had some choices I wasn't really a fan of, but overall, I think it was still an enjoyable season and series.
Mhm.
First two
Yep.
seasons are incredible.
Yeah.
Third one, I feel like is like, it's good, but like a lot of shows, once you get towards the end, it's like they kind of, I don't know if they're running out of ideas or whatever it is, but you kind of fall off a little bit. But yeah, it was enjoyable for the most part.
Okay.
But yeah, leave it
Spider-Verse?
alone. Yeah, let's do Spider-Man.
The only thing I will say is they could go back to this, but drop the name, call it
Yeah.
Richmond.
You can
Something
do that.
like that.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I think I'd be okay with
A
that.
rebrand.
Yeah, like
almost.
a rebranding sort of thing.
I guess I'd be okay with that. Yeah.
And then have nothing to do with it anymore
Right.
after
Right.
that. Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. Man.
What kind of face is that, Barry?
It's kind of a loss for words, just because
Yeah.
this movie is fantastic.
It's real good.
It is. This is probably
Had
one
me
of
worried.
This is probably one of the best movies I've ever seen, and
it's up there. Yeah.
Yeah, like it is. The animation, you didn't think they could top it. They topped it. Like the animation looks even better than what the first one did. It just feels like, and they did this with like robot, what was it? Something with the Mitchells. We Are the Mitchells is what it was. Like it just feels like Sony Animation Studios is just in a whole nother universe.
Yeah, they're pulling away from Disney.
Yeah, like they're in a whole nother, for a lack of a better term, Spider-Verse, and like their animation style is just 110% crazy.
Yep.
It is, yeah. Like I left that theater just I left that theater very enjoyed about what it was doing. Gwen gets a bigger part in this film, which I think she deserved quite rightly. Miles also is definitely grown. You kind of learn that I liked Spot. I didn't expect to. Cool. I didn't know much about him, but Spot was cool. His motivations are there. Miles they do such a great job of like making Miles a teenager, but not like an a-hole teenager.
Yep.
Like going through teenage years is such like a turbulent time for any teenager, and they did it in a way that makes Miles relatable. Yeah, there isn't enough good I can say like about the movie. Like it does start a little slow, but once you get on that Spider-Verse train, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. How long is it?
2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
Ooh, I like that.
It's pretty long.
Say I like
It,
that.
it really is incredible. I know why this movie's doing as well as it is. Um, it was funny. I had to, my friend asked me because he knew I saw the Spider-Verse. Hey, should I get tickets? And I'm like, brother, do you see all the positive stuff going on about it? Like, I don't need to tell you. You get
Yep.
the ticket. Like
Yep.
that was it there. It was Craig, I'll let you talk a little bit about it if you want, but yeah, I am
Yeah, I mean,
still in
this
awe.
this year's been tough because like I feel like I walked out of the theater for John Wick and I was like, one of the best action movies I've ever seen. Hands down number one movie this year. Good luck topping that. And then I go see Guardians and I'm like, oh man, that's pretty good. And then I
Yeah.
walk out of Spider-Man and I'm like, oh man, that's pretty good. So I feel like I'm gonna have to reevaluate at the end of the year. I think action wise, I think John Wick is still a better movie than Spider-Man, but like Spider-Man is just like, man, they take everything that works in the first one and just multiply it by like 50. um, there's so many like cameos and like all the different. It's the same thing when we watch Doctor Strange and you're looking at all the different universes, but this is like all the Spider-Mans in the different universes, and you're looking at all the different Spider-Man. We even get to see the Insomniac Spider-Man from the game,
Mhm.
which was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I jinxed myself because I said that I haven't seen movies end on a cliffhanger in like years and years, and then Fast and Furious is like cliffhanger, Spider Man's
Yeah.
cliffhanger. Like all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Oh, we heard you. We're gonna hit you with cliffhangers." And now you're like, "All right, so when does the next Spider Man and Fast and Furious come out? Because I'm waiting. Let's go. I need to
Yeah,
know."
if there's one issue I have with Spider-Verse, it's the fact that we have to wait till March to
Yeah.
get it. Like
Yep.
I was really it's riding on such a high train right now. You
Mm-hmm.
want it to be like I was hoping November. But then
Of
when I
this
looked
year.
at I was hoping November of this year.
Mm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's and like I guess I get it. The animation style, the way they do it is taxing from what I understand and from what I read.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I will wait, but it just feels like if you were trying to climb the ladder of momentum,
Sure.
like you want to have that next Spider-Verse movie out as soon as possible.
I mean, there was a healthy distance between the two final Avengers movies too. And that was
And
like ultimate.
Yeah.
That was
yeah,
ultimate to be
Oh,
continued. I felt like we waited
yeah.
a year at least.
and maybe
Yeah.
you're right. Maybe it was a
Speaking
year
of a
for that.
Spider-Man cliffhanger, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So
Like, I don't
I
mind
might be
waiting a
I
year.
might be too hard on it. Like I don't know why I remember being the gap between Infinity War and Endgame being shorter than a year.
I'm gonna have to look because I feel
Or
like it
shorter
was
than
long.
this. But maybe I may just be hard on it, but it's just because
Let me see.
and I'll be the first one to admit I am a Miles Morales diehard. I love
Yep.
Miles Morales. He's and I think it's primarily because he's the Spider-Man I connect to most.
Mm-hmm.
As a Latino person, and I imagine like with Craig, not to point out the
Yes.
obvious, but you may get it as well. Like
No, I do connect with him as well for a similar reason as well.
yeah, so it's just like to have and I feel like they've only really done this with Spider-Man, and maybe I'm just not too much into comics. It's just because we see more Spider-Man than anybody else. But, like we have so many different iterations of Spider-Man at this point that it seems like there is a Spider-Man that anyone can connect to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is very and I don't see that in like Thor. I don't see that with anyone else. And I guess that has to do with a lot with Stan's mentality is like anybody can put on that, the mask.
Yep.
And I guess that's what the whole driving point of this is.
Yeah. Yeah, Infinity War came out April 27, 2018. Endgame came out April 26, 2019. So it
Oh,
was a
okay. So
year.
yeah, I'm just being
Wow,
hard.
it was a year.
Yep.
I'm just being hard
That
on
was a long
Spider-Verse. I'm
year.
sorry, Spider-Verse.
It was a long
That was
year.
a long year. It was a long
Oh my
year.
God, I was counting down the days. It was just counting down the days between Lord of the Rings movies and the Matrix movies was the same thing. And Star
Ooh,
Wars,
yeah.
right? Like I had Star Wars, I had a calendar that I was Xing off days. Between like episodes 1 and 3, I was diehard. Same thing with Lord of the Rings, but
Yeah, if you bring that up, I was the same way. Like,
Mhm.
like after Two Towers was done, I was like, can we please
That was a
get
big
to the
cliffhanger.
Yes. Oh my
Mhm.
god.
But yeah, I think man, it's good. There's been a lot of good Marvel movies this year.
Mhm.
Spider-Man, I think, is the top. Guardians is right there. Ant-Man was okay. I think that's the
Yeah, I was
bottom.
going to say there is a huge gap
There
between
is.
those
There
two.
is. I still like Ant-Man, but it's definitely the lowest. I think Guardians is I think it's close to Spider-Man though. I really do. So yeah, it's another good year for Marvel. After everybody's kind of been down on Marvel a little bit, I feel like. Do you think now's the time though that we bring live action Miles Morales in?
So like the
Please.
and yeah, like
Oh.
I guess the main thing there is, and from what I understand about Miles Morales and what I've read, is like his villains just aren't there. Like he
Right.
doesn't, I guess, have the same repertoire of villains as like the regular
Pe-
Spider-Man, is what we
yeah,
call
Peter
it.
Parker.
Yeah, but
So
you have such an emphasis, like they're going towards young Avengers, right? They're all being
yeah,
set up. There's a whole bunch of them. I feel like now would be the perfect time to bring Miles in to
yeah.
be with the young Avengers.
Imagine working that contract out with Sony and Marvel,
Yeah. Oh
because it
my
just
I
god.
we were
I
like
was gonna
I
say,
was talking about it yesterday, and I was like, they need to bring Miles in. But I think the problem is my first reaction was like, well, just bring in the person who's doing his voice. But the person doing his voice is a little bit older. He's not
yeah.
exactly a teenager. He's like,
Wow.
I think he's in like his 20s or 30s. Um,
Yeah, I do think the voice actor for Miles in the Spider-Man game is younger.
we could bring
Um,
him in. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take a look at that while
yeah.
you're.
I mean, that's a tough, you know, role to fill. But I do think it's time is right.
Yeah.
Just with the emphasis on younger Avengers and phasing out these older ones. That's I think that's what you do. Bring him into the next Spider-Man live action movie. Why
Yeah,
not?
because they have that plan. They have their phases.
Yep.
That type of
Yep.
thing. So,
I think you bring him
um,
into Spider-Man's movie and then you give him his own.
mhm.
I don't know.
By the way, but
Go ahead.
if we're thinking of a battle between which studio is having the best year, I guess we call it Marvel
Mm.
versus Capcom,
Ah,
like the video
oh
He's
my
game.
god.
26. He's
26?
26.
He might be a little
Yeah.
too old then. I mean,
Well,
Miles is supposed to be like 15 or 16.
isn't that like the standard age for somebody playing a teenager anyway?
It's
Aren't they all
true.
like 26 and they're
It's true.
playing like an 18?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I don't know. I don't think there's any plans really for Miles, and it just blows my mind that there isn't.
Well, no, they say they're talking about bringing him like a live action development,
Mm-hmm.
but I just know that like it feels like every time that Sony and Marvel are thinking about working together, like apparently the contract disputes are just each side trying to suck each other dry
Right.
of like,
Mm.
oh no, we get this percent of merchandise. No, we get this percent of, the movie making. It's
Right.
just like, wow, you guys are like
And
I
Sony's
couldn't
never giving up Spider-Man rights.
you can't. You like
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
there
Yep.
there is no way. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think any amount of money in the world
Nope.
Sony would sell Spider-Man right now, because the
Not
like
at all.
Spider is the by far the most popular like superhero right now, and
Mm-hmm.
he
Oh,
is,
yes.
and it's not close is what I'm trying to say. Like it
Yeah.
is, he is eons away, like above anybody that Marvel or DC or any comic book has. It's
Right.
that Spider-Man is the pinnacle at the moment. So it's Sony's probably just laughing at that deal that they made to buy Spider-Man, and laughing
Right.
at $1 billion company laughing at another $1 billion company. Is quite the
Yeah.
Yeah,
quite
because
the
Disney could
insane one.
afford to, put a big offer into the Spider-Man rights. But yeah, I don't think Sony gives that up. I wouldn't if I was
Oh,
Sony.
no, no, no,
Yeah.
no.
I'd be holding on to that dearly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on top of
You
that
know,
too, I don't know if you get projects like Spider-Verse with Marvel. I
Yeah.
don't think you
yeah.
do. Because like even like into the Spider-Verse was such like and I remember that first movie coming out originally. Like
Mhm.
not a lot of people were biting at the bit to watch that movie, but then reviews came out
Yep.
and started to like get pump up the movie more. And now
Mhm.
and that's what I mean. I just don't think Sony took that chance where I don't think I don't think Disney does.
If they do,
No,
it's on
that's fair.
Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it on there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's Spiderman and Friends, the 5-year-old version that which
Yeah.
which apparently is good. I wouldn't know. But yeah, Craig, you now need to see Spider-Verse. That's what we're gonna go with. Yeah, like that. If there's one job that I give you,
go
I need you to stop playing Zelda for like 2.5 hours. Go see Spider-Man.
But Dad,
3 hours of your life you can give up Zelda for Spider-Man.
I'll go watch it again with you.
God.
I'm already at the point where I'll go watch it again. To be honest.
Okay.
So if you need someone to go see it with, call me up and I'll go with you to see it.
Will do. Will do. That's enticing.
Is it now?
Yeah. The old Barry date.
Yeah. But I do want to thank everybody for listening and enjoying the podcast. Hopefully you did enjoy it. And if you did, please make sure to rate it on your podcast listening platform of choice. Make sure you like it and share it with people you think might like to hear our random thoughts about the Spider-Verse or Zelda at this point. Hopefully my Zelda impressions weren't too spoilery. Like, do you feel like they were,
weren't.
Craig, or no?
No,
I don't think they were. I don't think they were.
The moment emotion gets into it, people are like, I didn't even want to know the emotions of it. And it's like, well, you should be listening to anything Zelda at this point. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment with what you think what you think of our thoughts and everything like that. I'd love to hear what people thought about the ending of Zelda, probably with spoiler marks, if you can, and probably what you think of Spider-Verse, because it does seem like everybody in the world loves it. Does anybody hate it?
Not that I saw.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if there's someone who hates it, I kind of want to know why. Almost at this point, I do get the animations a little, maybe not for everybody. Regardless, thank you for listening. It's always a pleasure. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye. See you later.
Bye, guys.